All right, brother. We on.
All right.
Yes, sir.
First off, I'd like to give honor, glory to Yahweh and to his son Yahweh Shai. I want to welcome y'all to another open table topic Bible study. In tonight's lesson, we're going over Daniel chapter 8. All right, Daniel chapter 8. I'm going to be sharing my screen. We are going to be going into a lot of history. Okay. There was some prophecies that were made. There was some prophecies that were fulfilled. Like I said last video, if you ever doubted the Bible, through these prophecies and them being fulfilled, that should kind of give you some kind of clarity on how not only accurate, but how you can validate a lot of what's in the Bible. Okay, so we're going to go through these prophecies and we're going to find out a lot of these things that have been said thousands of years ago have been fulfilled up into this modern day time. All right, so let's get right into it. Daniel chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 1.
All right. Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. In the third year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first.
All right, so we're going to do a continuation from Daniel 2, Daniel 7, and all of these kind of correlate and kind of goes together. So give me a second. Let me share my screen. Like I said, we got a lot of history to go into. Let me know if y'all can see my screen once I start sharing it. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and read verse 1 again, bro.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
In the third year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first.
Uh-huh.
Verse 2. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai.
All right, so now we're going to start getting into it. Let's get verse 3.
Verse 3. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, for one was higher than the other, and the higher came upon last.
All right, so let's stop right there. So we're talking about a ram that had two horns. The two horns were high, but there was one that was higher than the other, and it came up last. Okay, this was talking about the Persians and the Medes. All right, this is around 550 BC. Some scholarships say 553. This is Cyrus the Great, how he rebelled and took over the Medes. This is in historical fact. So let's get I want to show you something real quick. Let's get the Persian Revolt. Let me show you the Persian Revolt and how that actually happened. Okay, Persian Revolt. Bear with me. Let me get this out real quick. All right, and y'all can see how it goes into the Britannica. All right, so there's a lot of history on here, okay? A lot of history. My phone is acting up. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. We're going to get it. All right. All right. Bear with me. We're gonna get it. Yeah, right here, real quick. All right. So this is history.com. All right. We're gonna read just a little bit of history here. Bring my phone a little bit closer. That might help it. All right. So the rise of Cyrus the Great. So let's read about it. It says, born around 600 BC, the founder of the first Persian Empire, also known as the Achaemenid Empire, belonged to the semi-nomadic Perseric Grady tribe, which raised sheep, goats, cattle in the southwest of present-day Iran. All right, we're gonna go back up, go up some. Let's get to the main point. Cyrus conquers Lydia, expanding his empire. Right. Uh, Hold on one second, y'all. All right, look at this. Somebody look at this. Cyrus conquers Lydia, expanding his empire. Okay, the ascendancy of Cyrus troubled Croesus, the king of Lydia, was occupied the western half of present-day Turkey. So if y'all can just kind of look into, if y'all can imagine the map, right? And I'll show you the map, but this is around Turkey. As he contemplated an attack on the rising power of now neighboring Persia. Croesus dispatched a messenger to consult the Greek oracle at Delphi. All right. Brother, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I heard somebody go off there just a minute ago. All right. So let me go up just a little bit more. And we're going to go up just a little bit more. We're going to get to the point here. We get out of there. And we're going to get out of here. All right. All right. So now we're going to go a little bit. So let's go into verse 4, and we'll get a little bit history here in a minute. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. We're going to go to verse 4.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 4. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great.
All right, so now that we know that we're talking about the Persian and the Medes and how the Persians took over the Medes, now he says he sees the this ram pushing westward, northward, and southward, right? So these are the beasts that might stand before. Neither was the one that can deliver out of his hand. So let me show y'all something real quick. Let me show y'all this map. Let me show y'all the map real quick. That's what I wanted to show y'all. Let me show y'all the map real quick. I kind of updated my PowerPoint here. So let me show you the map real quick. So we're just gonna go back into this map real quick. I mean, to this PowerPoint, and I'm gonna show you the map. 1 second, bear with me. All right, show you the map real quick. How phone is acting? This is the land here. All right, so this is the map right here. Let me make it bigger. All right, here's the map here. So y'all can see, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
All right. So as you can see, this map is the empire, the Persian Empire actually went from India, Ethiopia to most to some of Europe right there, the western parts of Europe. You see that? All right, so let's read a little bit about how that came to be. All right, let's read a little bit about it. Now we're going to find out some things. All right. All right, here we go. Make this bigger so y'all can see it. So this is the Persian Wars, Ionian Revolt. Like I said, this is going to be a lot of history. All right. So it says the Persians started out as a small tribe in present-day Iran. They built a large empire by conquering their neighbors. Persian archers won many battles by unleashing storm arrows before their enemies were close enough to use their lances. All right. At the height, the Persian Empire was the largest empire the world had ever known. It was ruled by powerful kings who conquered Mesopotamia, Asia Minor, Syria, Egypt, and parts of India and Europe. Okay, so believe it or not, I know we hear a lot about the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, but nobody has ever surpassed the Persian Empire, right? The land that they conquered, the people they conquered, it was the most anybody had ever seen, okay? Let's jump down a little bit because I don't want to take up too much time. In fact, let's just jump over here. Let's not take up too much time. So the Battle of Marathon. Now, I don't really want to get that right now, not right just yet. But I did want y'all to see how the revolt happened. And we'll get to some of this history in a little bit, okay? But when it talks about they went westward, northward, and southward, and the beast might stand before him, neither was there that could deliver out of his hand. That was how they took over 200 million miles, the largest in ancient the largest ancient empire. So give me Esther chapter 1, verse 1. Let's back this up with Bible. Let's back this up with Bible, right?
Esther chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. That in those days.
Right. So it was so that's good right there, brother. So you can see how it encompasses all of that, right? So now let's go back to Daniel chapter 5. So we see it not only um, through history, but we also see it biblically here in the Bible. All right, just backing everything up with Bible to let you know that the Bible is a real book. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. All right, Daniel chapter 8. Let's read verse 5.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
All right, let's stop right there. So this is talking about Alexander the Great, right? And how he took over the Persian Empire, because we see how the Persian Empire basically became the more mightier empire than the Medes and took them over. But now you got Alexander the Great coming in. So now we're going to read some about this Battle of Marathon. Okay, so we're going to get a little history on this right here. All right, so hope y'all can see the screen. Let me blow it up just a little bit. All right. It says this is the Persian Wars Battle of Marathon. All right. After the Ionian Revolt, King Darius decided to conquer the city-states of mainland Greece. He sent messengers to ask for presence of Greek earth and water as a sign that the Greeks agreed to accept Persian rule. But the Greeks refused to hand over the tribute. Instead, they threw the messengers into pits and wells. Legend has it, they shouted, "If you want Greek earth and water, help yourself." All right. Darius was furious. In 490 BC, he sent a large army of foot soldiers and cavalry, mounted soldiers across the Aegean Sea by boat to Greece. The army assembled on the plain of Marathon. All right. A brilliant general named Miltiades convinced the other Greek commanders to fight the Persians at Marathon. Desperate for help, the Athenians sent a runner named Phidippides to Sparta. Phidippides ran for 2 days and 2 nights. When he arrived, he found the Spartans celebrating a religious festival. They told him that they could not leave Sparta until the next full moon. The Athenians and their allies had to face the Persians alone. Miltiades stretched his men across a narrow valley for several days. Both sides hesitated to attack. Finally, Miltiades decided to attack, ordered the center portion of his army to advance. When the Persians came forward to meet them, he then ordered the left and right sides of his army to sweep down and attack the Persians from the sides as well. Soon the Persian soldiers were running for their shops. Then the Greeks marched back to Athens in time to defend the city against the Persian cavalry. The Greeks had won a stunning victory, but the fight with the Persians was only beginning. So why am I going into this this history? Just to let you know that when we read the Bible, it actually corresponds to actual history, right? The facts are there. This is you can look this up in any book, and it'll tell you. As a matter of fact, all you have to do is look up the Battle of Marathon. Okay, so that's just to let you know that this is a true book that we are reading out of, and the history matches up perfectly with the Bible. All right, from there, I want to go to back to Daniel chapter 8. We're going to get a little bit more of this history here too. All right, let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. We're going to read verses 6 and 7, brother.
All right, verse 6. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
All right. So let's get a little bit of history on this, okay? Let's go to the Persian Greco War. Persian Greco. All right, so let me get out of this. All right, Persian Greco War. Now I want to go here. Come on. Bear with me. All right, there it is. All right, this is Britannica, Greco-Persian War. All right, just gonna get a little history on here, okay? And you can go ahead and get me Sirach chapter 10 and verse 8. All right, so let's get a little bit about this, and I'm gonna read this again so we don't lose a thought. We start at verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. So this is actually going into this Greco-Persian War. All right, we're going to read some of this. Let's get the history. So this is between 492 and 449. Series of wars fought by Greek states in Persia over a period of almost half a century. So you know that going by the scriptures, it is exactly talking about how Greece took over the Persian Empire. The fighting was most intense during two invasions that Persia launched against mainland Greece between 490 479. Although the Persian Empire was at the peak of its strength, the collective defense mounted by the Greeks overcame seemingly impossible odds and even succeeded in liberating the city-states on the fringe of Persia itself. The Greek triumph ensured the survival of Greek culture and political structures long after the demise of the Persian Empire. All right. Let's get just a little bit more. This is the establishment and expansion of the Achaemenid Empire, 559 to 500. In 559 BCE, the Persian king Cyrus II founded the Achaemenid dynasty, and he would spend the rest of his life extending his rule, which ultimately reached the Indus River valley to the Aegean Sea. After the Persians defeated Coroeus of Lydia about 546, the small Greek states of the Asian coast were reduced price mill. The Asian coast were reduced price mill. In Sparta, the strongest state in the Greek mainland did nothing more than large diplomatic protest. All right. Let me see if I can get a little bit more on this. I'm pretty sure y'all get the point of all this. Let me just see if there was anything more on here. This is going back into the Ionian revolt. Touch a little bit on that. All right. So I think y'all get the point, right? So that's good on that. All right. So any questions so far? Any questions so far? Any comments? All right. So let's get another battle that was had, and that should kind of culminate everything. All right. All right. Let me open this back up. All right. Hopefully y'all can still see that. Let me go back here. Slack. Bear with me. I meant to go out this way. Slack. All right, so let's get a little bit of this history here, right? All right, this is Wikipedia. I know how some people feel about it, but like I said, you can look all this stuff up. So the Battle of Gaugamela, right, took place 331 BC between the forces of the army of Macedon under Alexander the Great and the Persian army under King Darius III. It was the second and final battle between the two kings and is considered to be the final blow of the Achaemenid Empire, resulting in its complete conquest by Alexander. All right, so the fighting took place in Gaugamela, a village on the banks of the river Bamotis, north of Arbela. That's why it's also known as that also. Let's see if there's any more information we need here. So that was the final. This war, y'all can look all this up on your own when you get some time. You can look all this up. I don't want to take up too much time, but y'all can see all these different battles. If you just want to, kind of use some of this to kind of get people to understand that there were battles that were fought, and it is documented, and it is in your history books. And if you want to back it up, to go along with the scriptures, then you have all this information. And if you want me to send it to you, then I'll be glad to send it to you. You just let me know, okay? All right, all praises. All right, let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. Uh, and let's read verse 8, brother.
All right, verse 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones for the four winds of heaven.
All right, let's talk about that for a minute. All right, give me First Maccabees chapter 1. First Maccabees chapter 1. So we're gonna talk about these notable ones. And I did add something to my PowerPoint, so let me get that real quick also. You still there, brother?
Yeah.
Okay, I just keep hearing people coming in and out, so I'm not sure. All right, so let me open up my PowerPoint again. And let's go up. Bear with me. Let me get back there again. All right. Y'all can see that I added some artwork there. Let me see here. All right. So let's go up just a little bit more. All right, so let's get First Maccabees chapter 1, and let's read verses 1 through 9, Baba Kishore.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that.
And just before you start, brother, just before you start, just proving that the Apocrypha also is a book that if you don't take it for you don't think is canonical, at least it is a history book, right? But the fact that it lines up with the Bible, you have to say that that is also ordained, okay? Because there's no denying that the history lines up perfectly with what Daniel saw. All right. I just wanted to make that disclaimer. You go ahead, bro.
All right. Maccabees chapter 1 from the top. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after this, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth.
Okay, so you can see that when we go back to verse 7, it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Okay, then we jump down to verse 9. It says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. All right, so got a slide up here. It says, after Alexander's death, his empire was divided among his four generals, known in Latin as the Diadochi. the name by which they are still referenced. From the Greek, that meaning successors. All right. Lysimachus to Thrace, and we're going to see this in a minute. In much of Asia Minor, Cassander controlled the Macedonia and Greece. Ptolemy ruled Egypt, Palestine, Cilicia, Petra, and Cyprus. He founded the Ptolemaic dynasty, which lasted until the death of Cleopatra the 7th and 30 BCE. And then Seleucus of Nicanor, the first of Nicanor, ruled the remainder of Asia and founded the Seleucid Empire, which was comprised of Mesopotamia, the Levant, Persia, and part of India. And just a little bit of what we just read right here. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And look at this, coinage. So if you doubt the history, here we have archaeology. Wow. Man, all praises to the Most High, right? And these are the empires that they pretty much took over. So this is the Hellenistic world, 300 BC, right? So you see Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus, and the territories that each of them took over. All right, so I'll give y'all a minute to look at that. All right, so let's go back to Daniel. Let's go back to the book of Daniel, and I'm gonna read verse 9 again. So it says, and out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed. I'm sorry, did we stop at verse 8? No, okay, verse 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. What's that? No, go ahead. Okay, come. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. So we see that Alexander died. When we went to the Maccabees, we see that he died. The Diadochi rose up, which was successors, his generals, and they put crowns upon themselves, and they ruled, and their sons also. All right. So now we can go to verse 9. I hope y'all are following along with the history, with the archaeology, and with the biblical references. So I hope I'm kind of painting a picture that all of y'all can kind of see how these verses are kind of coming together, right? And before we get to the end of this chapter, you're going to see that Yashar is not he's not just making this up. Okay. So let's continue to read verses 9 and 11, brother. 9 through 11.
All right, verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
All right, so let's pause right there. All right, let's pause right there. We're going to get into Antiochus, right? We're about to get into Antiochus. So let's go back to First Maccabees. Let's go back to First Maccabees, and we're going to continue from where we left off. First Maccabees chapter 1. We just started verse 10 again, brother. We're just going to continue on down to verse 25. So let's get some understanding about what we just read here.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of two realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken away, and when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, and having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was great mourning in Israel, in every place where there were.
All right, that's good right there. So all praises, so we can see how this is actually starting to line up. All right, let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. And I'm going to read that last part again. Verse 11, it says, Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. So we see all of this prophecy being played out, right? And we see the actual history in First Maccabees. All right. Now let's read verse 12.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And they cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered.
All right. So now let's stay in Daniel and let's go to chapter 11. Okay. We're going to go to verse 31. So just to read that again, it says, and an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right. Daniel chapter 11, verse 31. Read that for me, Bobby.
Daniel chapter 11, verse 31. And an arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
Okay, so now who did this? This was Antiochus and the Greeks, right? Read on.
Back in 11. Or back at 8.
Yeah, verse 32. I'm sorry.
All right, verse 32. And such as do wickedly against this covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits.
Uh-huh.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days.
All right, read on.
Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed.
In verse 36.
Verse 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself, and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. But that is determined shall be done.
All right, we can go back to Daniel chapter 8. So we can see that the Most High appoints different kingdoms to rule for appointed times. So we see this. There's an appointed time for Egypt. There was an appointed time for Babylon. There was an appointed time for the Persians and the Medes. There's an appointed time for the Greeks. And we're going to see that the Romans have an appointed time. And guess what? Even America has an appointed time. So America's going to be destroyed. All right. So let's read verse 13. Let's go back to chapter 8 and read verse 13.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot?
All right. So now we're going to get some more understanding. All right. Read verse 14.
Verse 14, And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
All right. So there's an appointed time for the sanctuary to be cleansed. All right. So when we look at the history, we're talking about 171 to 165 BC, just to give you an estimation of the time here. All right. And it said, let's read it again. Verse 14.
Verse 14, And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
All right. So now we can kind of break it down, all right, with the days and the prophetic year. So what is the Hebrew year? How long is that? How many days is it?
364, some say 365.
So it's kind of 360, right? So it's 2,300 days. So when you divide that, let's just do the math here. Let's just do the math, and then we're going to get some prophecies on this, right? So I don't want to ask any questions. Let's just get to it. Genesis chapter 7, verse 11. Many of y'all know how to break this down. I know Nakar went over this many times, but we're just going to break it down just in case we got new people on the line, or new people who may hear this. So we're going to kind of break this down. Adriel, did you want to break this down, brother?
Yeah, I can do that. So,
Okay, all right. Go ahead, brother. You got it.
Genesis chapter 7, verse 11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. So this basically is telling you that they give you a specific time. It said the second month, the 17th day is when the windows or the waters began to flow from heaven. And then see, skip over to where is it?
Verse 24.
Is it 24? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. 7 people.
Yep. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So you got the beginning day, and then you got the length of how many days that the waters prevailed on earth. All right, then we're going to see when the waters receded. Is it verse 4, chapter 8, verse 4?
Start at verse 3 for me.
All right, chapter 8, verse 3. And the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month upon the mountain of Ararat. So you got a beginning date that says the second month and the 17th day, and then the number of days in between, and it ended and rested the seventh month and the 17th day of the month. So that's a period of 5 months. So, okay, so now if you divide the 5 into 150, you'll get 30 days. So that gives you a period of time of 150 days, so that each month end up being 30 days each month. So that 5 months times 30 will be 150, which works out perfectly based on how the Most High gave us the calculation that a month is exactly 30 days.
All praises. Great breakdown. Great breakdown. All right. Now let's get some precepts for that. Let's go to Esther chapter 2. Esther chapter 2. Make sure you keep your hands on in Daniel. In verse 12.
All right.
These are just some precepts to go with what we just read.
I moved it out of my Bible. What is that? Yeah, I'm looking for it. Okay. All right. Hold on, give me a second. Esther chapter 2.
Come.
And what verse?
Verse 12.
Okay, Esther chapter 2 and verse 12. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women. For so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women.
All right. So you see that there's a 6 months for Shalaki. So you see that there was 6 months with sweet odors. That was the purifying of the women. What let me Shalaki. It said after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of the women. So were the days of the purification accomplished with 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 months sweet odors. So we can see that there's 6 months here for this, 6 months here for that, right? 12 months equals a year. So that's one precept. Now let's go to 1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 12. I had to turn my phone back on. Shalaki. 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 12. Let's get another precept for this.
1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 12. Benaiah, the son of
I'm sorry. Verse 7. Verse 7, brother. I'm Shalaki.
All right. 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 7. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision.
All right. So 12 officers, each man for a month. All right. Equals 12 months. All right. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that when we read, well, let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. Go back to Daniel chapter 8 so we can get a good understanding. Verse 14. And then we're going to move on. Daniel chapter 8 and verse 14, it reads, and he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. So what are we talking about? 6 years. So there had to be 6 years before this cleansing happened to the sanctuary. Okay. Now we're going to get into the interpretation of everything we just read. We're going to get into the interpretation of everything we just read. All right. Let me see if there's anything else I want to share here. Most likely not. All right. So we can go ahead and get out of this. All right. Any questions so far? Any questions? Stop sharing my screen. Everybody on point. Everybody good. Oh, shalom, Sister Maya. How you doing, sis?
Shalom, I'm doing okay.
That's good. That's good. Okay, all praises, all praises. All right. So everybody good so far. We all good. All right, all praises.
Yeah, well,
All
I
right, so
did
now we're
have
going to go into the
one comment. It just, I mean, it's just kind of mind-boggling when you look at history, and we all know that history pretty much repeats itself, and how a nation that is so quick to come to power like the United States, knowing that they founded a lot of their basics and foundation upon the Roman way of doing things, how they could just read some history and say, well, we're not going to go down that road. But they go down the same road. It's like, how could you be so stupid? But here we go. We hit us on our same road, listening our morals, allowing all the things that happened were wrong, where they were sleeping around with each other, and there was homosexuality and sinning, and they got off, where they were not on the same page, and here we go. It's just amazing how the Most High can just put something right in front of you. And of course, half the people, they don't read it anyway. And right there, it's gonna happen, just like you said, and it's all in the book. I digress.
Yeah, yeah, just to get a good precept for that, what you just said. um, this is Ezekiel chapter 38. Of course, this is going into end time prophecy, but just getting to the point, verse 4 it says, and I would turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Right. So of course we go into the book of Revelations, Jeremiah chapter 51, so we can see the different prophecies of the Most High moving the chess pieces, and it's all his will. So America is going to do exactly what the Most High, what His will is, and that can be a scary thought. It can be a terrifying feeling, but it's a rejoicing feeling for the Israelites. It should be,
True.
Knowing that everything that's going to be played out is for our benefit, and it's for the glory of the Most High Yahweh, in his power that he's showing forth. And of course, that's where faith comes in. But it also, just going, and that's why I like history. And that's why I love reading the Bible and seeing the prophecies being fulfilled, because it just kind of lets you know that we shouldn't be afraid in the last days. These last days should it should uplift us. Our spirit should be uplifted. There should be no concern, because the Most High, there's absolutely nothing you can do. And you know what? Even the heathen know that. The heathen know it also. Brothers and sisters that are not in the truth, even they know it. But what I hear mostly on my job is there's nothing you can do about it. So just go with the flow. And my thing is, there's something you can do. Get your soul right. Get your spirit right. Brother, yeah, repent. Repent. Come back to your God. Read your Bible. Dust it off and start reading it. But I digress. I digress. We're gonna go into the interpretation. Did anybody have anything else they want to say before we move on? Any comments? It doesn't have to be a question, just any comments. All right, con. So now let's get into the interpretation. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up. So let's get into the interpretation. Let's read verse 15, brother. Baba Kushar.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 15. And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then, behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man.
All right, let's read all the way to verse 19, brother.
And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know that Shalach. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed the end shall be.
All right, hold it right there. All right, so before we get into everything that we just read, just so y'all know that Yashar is not making this up. Why is the camera stuff going on? Can y'all see me?
You got blurred up.
Okay, that's crazy. My phone keeps cutting off. I don't know why. All right. So before we go on, I don't want you to answer, Brother Azrael. I want somebody else to answer, right? That first kingdom that we're talking about, that first ram, who was it? The two rams. The first ram, huh? One horn was higher than the other. Persian? Yeah. Persian who? Medes. Persian the Medes, right? All right, you read on, brother.
All right, verse 20. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat.
All right, so y'all see this? That's good right there. That's good right there. We're gonna take our time with this. So y'all see that the two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. So when we broke that down, went through all the history, did Yashar make that up? No. So the interpretation that Daniel's getting now is actually talking about the Persians and Medes. That's what it just said. So we went through the history, we saw the archaeology, and now we're starting to read the interpretation of everything we just read. Y'all see how good and loving the Most High is to give Daniel, not only Daniel, but those after Daniel to see the interpretation of what's going on in his visions. All praise to the Most High. All right, read on.
Verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king.
Okay, and who was that?
Alexander the Great.
God. All right. Read on.
Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in its power.
All right, not you, Brother Azrael. All right, now who is this talking about? So Alexander fell. Who came up after Alexander? Who did he give his power to? All right, the Azrael, you go ahead and answer, brother.
I don't know that, man.
Well, Alexander, then wait a minute, let's read it again. Let's read it again. It says, now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So who are the four that came after Alexander the Great? Who was that?
It's four Jones.
It's for generals, right? All praises. Thank you, sister. All praises. All praises. All right. Verse 23.
Verse 23, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
All right, we're gonna stop right there. We're gonna stop right there, and then we'll finish up. But who is this? Who is this talking about? The last one we just read about, who took away the sanctuary, who destroyed it.
What's his name? How you say his name? Epiphanies or whatever it is. Antiochus?
Antiochus, right? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Epiphanies. So
Epiphanies.
all praises. So let's go back to the Apocrypha. Go back to the Apocrypha. 1 second. All right, so we'll go back to the Apocrypha, and we are going to read verses 26 through 64. All right, but let's read, hold on 1 second, y'all. Let's read verse 24 again.
In Daniel.
Well, hold on for me there. All right, now you're up. Yeah, Daniel chapter 8.
Verse 24.
Read verse 24 and 23 through 24. Brother Kushar.
All right, Daniel chapter 8, verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
All right, now let's go to First Maccabees, chapter 1, and let's read 26 through 64, Baba Kushar.
First Maccabees chapter 1, he says verse 26 through 64. And thus doth he zealously for the law of God, like as Phoenix did unto Zambri, the son of Salom. And Matthias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, Whosoever is zealous of the law, and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains, and left all that ever they had in the city. The many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children, and their wives, and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. And they said unto them, Let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. But they said, We will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment, to profane the Sabbath day. So when they gave them the battle with all speed, howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, but said, Let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them, and their wives and children, and their cattle, to the number of 1,000 people. And when Matthias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, If we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth. At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, Whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against them, neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law. Also all they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them, and were a stay unto them. So they joined their forces, and smote sinful men in their anger, and wicked men in their wrath. But the rest fled to the heathen for secure. Then Mattathias and his friends went around about and pulled down the altars. And what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of kings, neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. Now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, Now have pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction, and the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment, and was made Lord of Egypt. Phinehas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Joshua, fulfilling the war, was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elias, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azarias, and Maciel, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of lions. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Fear not then the words of a simple man, for his glory shall be dung and worm. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found, because he is returned unto his dust, and his thought is come to nothing. Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall ye obtain glory.
All right, all praises, brother. All praises. That's a good way to end that. But um, it's just a good way to end it, brother. But um, I don't know what to say. Okay, so let's make sure we all read First Maccabees chapter 1. All right, 26 to 64. Let's just just for history's sake. But let's go back to Daniel chapter 8. Go back to Daniel chapter 8, and we're going to read. We're going to read on out. So all praises to the Most High. Start at verse 25. We're going to read all the way to 27, brother.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. Shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is truth. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it.
Let me tell y'all something. These heathen nations always come with peace, 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 don't they? Always with peace. But then they always want to take it from you, right? So just kind of closing out Daniel chapter 8. I just want everybody to understand that the Bible's a real book, prophecies are real. Just like my boy Thanos said in the Avengers, He said, "This is destiny." And when it happened, he said, "This is destiny fulfilled." So all praise to the Most High. I just want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. I give all praises and honor um, to the Father, to His Son. You know, I just want to thank all Israel and Kwam Yasharala. You know, I hope everybody was edified. I hope somebody got something out of this, and I hope that they can, you know, those who haven't heard it yet can come back and look at it and kind of glean something off of it. So with that, we're gonna close it out. Another Bible study. Lord willing, we'll come back again. And with that, I say shalom.